we are ever to solve the basic problem of environmental contamination, we must begin to count the many hidden costs of what we are doing.
Absorbed through the feet or other parts of the body, DDT affects the nervous system and motor coordination of the insect.
Dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane, DDT.
Fish and wildlife scientists had begun to examine the environmental impacts of a relatively new chemistry lab creation, a so-called synthetic pesticide known as DDT.
Now, to these people, apparently the balance of nature was something that was repealed as soon as man came on the scene. Well, you might just as well assume that you could repeal the law of gravity. The balance of nature is built of a series of interrelationships between living things and between living things and their environment. You can't just step in with some brute force and change one thing without changing a good many others. Now, this doesn't mean, of course, that we must never interfere, that we must not attempt to tilt that balance of nature in our favor. But unless we do bring these chemicals under better control, we are certainly headed for disaster.
There appears to be growing concern among scientists as to the possibility of dangerous long-range side effects from the widespread use of DDT and other pesticides. Have you considered asking the Department of Agriculture or the Public Health Service to take a closer look at this?
Yes, and I know that they already are. I think particularly, of course, since Miss Carson's book, but they are examining the matter.
When man first walked upon the moon, it defined a generation. As this new millennium dawns, we face a greater challenge. Climate change threatens our very existence. What further disasters will convince world leaders that the existing technology and renewable energy offers the last remaining hope?
Over the last 20 years, they have conducted the most exhaustive examination ever of a challenge like this. They've issued 4 reports. They've all been unanimous, and the last one called the evidence unequivocal. Now, does that mean that there are still some people who are going to have a contrarian view? No, of course. There will still be some. But there are still some people who believe that the moon landing was staged on a movie lot, a significant percentage, as it turns out, or that the Earth is flat.
I wish you could go to Greenland, watch these huge chunks of ice just falling into the ocean, raising the sea levels.
And you don't know whether or not that would have happened with or without man. You don't know.
Well, you're scientists at
no,
NOAA
we have
and NASA.
Scientists that disagree with that.
That night, he makes her read to him about a tree that once ran in great vertical veins of living ore from Georgia to Newfoundland, out through Canada and past the Great Lakes to where they camp out together by lamplight. She tells him about giants 4 feet wide, their trunks shooting 80 feet straight up before the first sideways branches bothered to extend. Trees that stood in endless stands that darkened the air with pollen each spring. The clouds of golden dust raining down on the decks of ships far out to sea.
It's now very well established that trees signal to each other over the air. They come together to form collaborative immune systems. They warn each other of infestation. They're also deeply connected underground in mycorrhizal connections with fungus, and the discovery that trees feed and heal each other, that they keep their young and their sick alive, has changed not only our understanding of the society of trees, but the nature of Darwinian evolution. Once you discover that a Douglas fir can be feeding and nurturing a birch. You think about the green world in a different way.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale. Our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon.